Hey guys, it's Justine here from I Should Read That, and today I'm going to do my June TBR. So TBRs don't usually work for me. That's just a fact of life. I don't tend to stick to TBRs. I am a major mood reader, but I have been hauling so many books lately, and I haven't been reading a whole lot. The month of May was very different. I did read a lot in the month of May, but the past couple of months I've just not been reading nearly as much as I usually do. And I want to make sure that I'm getting through the books that are coming in, because my TBR, I think, has now surpassed 500 books, which is ridiculous. And I feel like I say this every time I talk about the books that I'm bringing in every month, but dear God. Also, the month of June is my birthday month, and I tend to get a lot of books for my birthday, or Waterstones gift cards or whatever, because I, like books, obviously, and it's a kind of go-to present for me. So May is always a huge month for hauling books because of all the new releases. June is always a huge hauling month because of my birthday, and then July is also a huge hauling month because of Yalk. So I'm going to try to do a TBR so that I can work through some of the stuff that I know I need to read and some of the stuff that I want to read, and kind of keep myself on track a little bit. So we'll see how this goes. Unlike my usual TBR videos, when I do them, I am going to go ahead and split this into stuff that I know I'm definitely going to have to read and stuff that I would like to read if possible. So this is going to be a big stack of books, but I know I'm not going to get to all of them, but there are definitely priorities here, so I'm going to let you know what those are, and we'll go ahead and try to get through some of this stuff. So this first set of books is stuff that I know I'm going to have to read. I have a couple of commitments to publishers for blog tours in the month of July, and blog tours are when you post a review on a certain date, usually around the publication of a book, to help kind of create buzz if you don't know what they are. So I have physical copies of 2 of those books, and I have a digital copy of 1 of them. So the first book that I have to review by a certain date in July is This Is How You Lose the Time War, and this is by Amal El-Mutar and Max Gladstone. This is one I'm really looking forward to. I've actually never read anything by either of these authors, and this looks like such a good book. This Is How You Lose the Time War is a science fiction book, and I have the description here. It says, among the ashes of a dying world, an agent of the Commandant finds a letter. It reads, burn before reading. And thus begins the unlikely correspondence between 2 rival agents hell-bent on securing the best possible future for their warring factions. Now what began as a taunt and battlefield boast grows into something more. Except discovery of their bond would be death for each of them. There's still a war going on after all, and someone has to win that war. That's how wars work, right? So I'm expecting this book to be a little bit kind of poetic and maybe a slow burn. I'm getting kind of lyrical vibes from this, and I think this is going to be a really phenomenal book. So it comes out on the 18th of July, and I'm really looking forward to this one. I've not really seen many people talking about it so far, but I think that it's going to be a really, really interesting one, and I think that people who have similar tastes to me are excited about this. So we'll see how this goes. The next book that I have is one that I'm very, very much looking forward to, and I've already seen some reviews for this book come through because it's published in the US already, and it publishes in the UK in the month of July. This is The Kingdom by Jess Rothenberg. So I feel like this is going to be a really creepy sort of take on fairy tale and dystopia. It pulls a lot of inspiration from fairy tales, but it's going to be the bad stuff and the kind of deceptive stuff from fairy tales. So this takes place in a theme park called the Kingdom, and it says that happily ever after is not just a promise, but a rule. So it's a place where technology helps people's dreams come true, and this is where the creepy part comes in. There are 12 beautiful fantasists, which are half human, half android princesses that entertain visitors and make their wishes come true, which sounds horrifying. This fairy tale ends in murder, and now Anna, who's one of the 12 fantasists, is in the dock after finding herself experiencing emotions or romantic feelings against all of her programming. So it's told through court testimony, interrogation records, and fragmented flashbacks. So this sounds really cool. This sounds like a much kind of more intricate novel than I had initially thought it would be, but I think that this is going to turn out to be really great. I know that it does have, I think it's some content warnings for like implied sexual assault, so just like a heads up. I can't obviously like say 100% whether or not that's here because I haven't read it yet, but this is what I've heard and I'm looking forward to it, and I think it's going to be a really creepy, kind of horrifying tale, so we'll see what I think of this. And the last book that I have for blog tour commitments is The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. I've had a copy of this proof for a while and I've not gotten around to it yet because it does publish on the 18th of July, but this looks really great. I have actually been saving this for my holiday. I'm going to Amsterdam and we're taking the Eurostar, so it's like 4 hours each way, and I'm hoping to tackle this book on that trip. This is apparently sort of think Game of Thrones, but sort of in an African-inspired fantasy world. This author wrote this book basically as a reaction to not seeing characters like him in fantasy in these books that he loved, and he decided rather than waiting for someone else to do it, he would do it himself, which I think is awesome, and I'm really looking forward to this. So this looks really, really good. I know very little about it, but I think that this is going to be sort of the thing that I had wanted, was it Black Leopard Red Wolf by Marlon James to be, which is a book I didn't end up reading because of the huge number of content warnings that came with it. Apparently it's a really, really brutal book, so I think this is going to be more my speed. I'm really looking forward to this. I know people who have read it already and are loving it, so this is definitely one I'm going to read in June, and it's going to be a holiday read. I'm super excited. So those are my kind of obligations for this month and the beginning of next month. So those ones I'm definitely going to read. So fingers crossed you see those in my June wrap-up video. But I have a bunch of other books that I really, really want to read for various reasons. Some of them are review copies, some of them are solicited, some of them are unsolicited, some of them are just books that I've been wanting to read for a while. So I'm going to go ahead and dive in with kind of my highest priority books that I don't have commitments for. So those high priority books are these 4. So these are all really, really different, but they are 3 fantasy books and 1 sci-fi book. I am so looking forward to this. I hope I get to read all of these. I hope I have the time, but I'm really, really gonna try. The first book that I have that I want to read is Red Seas Under Red Skies by Scott Lynch. I talk about in my book haul video, because I buy the 3rd one in the month of May. He's just finished writing the 4th book, which has taken a really long time, and I'm like so proud of him for finishing. I've only read The Lies of Locke Lamora. This is the 2nd one. I'm super excited to read this. This I'm also bringing with me on holiday to Amsterdam, so I'm gonna have 2 chunky fantasy books, and it's gonna be like the best holiday reading ever. This is supposed to be really fun, like kind of piratey. I know it has an amazing female pirate captain character who I'm so excited to read about, and I really love The Lies of Locke Lamora, so I think I'm gonna really enjoy this, even though I know it's a very different book. Next up, I have Magic for Liars. This is another book that I haul in May. I feel like I'm just giving you spoilers for my book haul, but my book haul is huge, so it's fine. But this is one that I'm looking forward to a lot. I got this from the MCM Comic-Con blogger brunch, and I have been hearing a lot about this. It has such a memorable cover that I really love. But it sounds like it's going to be a kind of California noir story that takes place in a like magic boarding school, but there's a murder, and our main character has to solve this murder, and like that's like so many things that I love all wrapped up into one. I think this is going to be really great, and I think this comes out in the month of June, so hopefully I'll be able to read it before it releases. Next up is 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Harrow. This comes out in September, and again, I hauled it in the month of May. But this looks like a beautiful story. It's a portal fantasy, and it's about a young woman who kind of lives in this house filled with oddities and antiques. She's a ward of the man who owns this house, and I imagine she finds a doorway to another land, a way to escape her life. This looks wonderful. I know so little about it, but this is one that I really want to go in knowing as little as possible, because I think that this is going to be a super atmospheric and beautiful and just wonderful book, so I'm so excited to read this. And the last of these high priority books, I actually just bought the audiobook for this on Audible because I had a spare credit, and I meant to read this in the month of May and it just didn't happen, but I'm in full-on sci-fi mode right now. This is Atlas Alone by Emma Newman. She narrates her own audiobook, which is awesome, and I listened to one of the audiobooks that she narrates in May, which you'll see in my wrap-up. I feel like I'm just giving major spoilers for all of my videos that are coming up. But I love her Planetfall books. She is a very important author to me, and this is her 4th one. I've not read it yet. It came out in April, and I've just not had the time. But I think that the audiobook, which is only about 10 hours long, is going to be the perfect way to consume this. I just love her writing so much, and I love her stories. I'm really looking forward to this. And these last 4 books are ones that I would love to get to if I have the time. So this first one is The Girl in Red by Christina Henry. This comes out in the month of June from Titan Books, and it's a retelling of Little Red Riding Hood, but set in like a dystopian setting, and she is a badass woman with an axe in the woods, and like, yes please. I really enjoy her retellings. I read The Mermaid last year, and I read Lost Boy the year before that, and I just think she's a great writer. I would really like to read this soon. I have other things that kind of sneak a little bit higher on my list of priorities, but this is one I'm definitely going to read over the summer. Next is a backlist title that has snuck onto my TBR. I met this author in the month of May, and she was awesome, and I'm really excited to read her books. This is The Sorcerer to the Crown by Zen Cho. This book is like a Regency fantasy book, and I've read a couple things like that, kind of like the historical fantasy recently, and I've loved them. So this is one I'm really looking forward to. I've heard kind of mixed things, but I think that this is going to be something I really love. Again, I'm kind of going in knowing as little as possible, because I think that half the fun of reading this book is going to be discovering the world and the story. I also have her follow-up book, which I think is a companion novel called The True Queen, and I want to read that. So in order to do that, I have to read this first one. Next up, I have Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Roanhorse. This is another backlist title. I think it came out last year, and this looks awesome. I finally got my hands on a copy of this in April, I think, from Forbidden Planet. This is a Navajo-inspired fantasy book, and it looks so incredibly cool. So the gods are beginning to be reborn, and of course when the gods arise, so do monsters. So our main character is Maggie, and she's a monster hunter. She's a supernaturally gifted killer, and she is going to try to find a missing girl in this town. So that's really all I know, and I have heard such amazing things about this, and I'm really excited. I kind of want to put my money where my mouth is, because I keep saying that I'm like reading all these diverse fantasy books, and I'm buying a ton of them, and I've not been reading a lot of them. So this is going to be one in that list of books where I'm actually going to read some of these amazing diverse books that I have. This is going to be really good. It's one of those books that I just know I'm gonna love, so I've been putting it off for the past couple of months, but I think the time has come. And last of all, I have a review copy of this book, which looks really fun, and one of my friends has read this and really enjoyed it. It's apparently like heartwarming fantasy, which is really exciting because fantasy is usually super bleak. So this is Lord of Secrets, and this is by Brianna Tientz. This makes my camera freak out slightly, but on the front it says, "Magic is poison, secrets are power, death is complicated." So I know that this book is kind of like the antidote to kind of like bleak, depressing fantasy. I know it has like a love story, and it's apparently just like heartwarming. And I love that so much, because I really enjoy kind of uplifting and heartwarming stories, but I read so much sci-fi and fantasy which is super bleak. So it'll be really nice to have a change. This comes out in July. I want to read it before it comes out, so June would be a really good time to do that, but I think it comes out in mid-July, so if I don't get to it this month, I can read it in the beginning of next month. So those are the books that I'm hoping to read in the month of June. Who knows if that's gonna happen or not, because I'm terrible at sticking to TBRs, but I really want to get through some of these books. I'm really excited for these books, and my birthday comes up in June, and I'm hoping to get a ton of really exciting books. So this TBR is definitely gonna change. This is not what my reading month is gonna look like, but I'm hoping that it bears some resemblance to this. In the comments below, let me know if you are planning on reading anything in the month of June, if you've read any of these books, or if you create TBR videos and TBR lists, and how you stick to them, because I'm really bad at that and I could use some tips. I post bookish content to this channel fairly frequently, so go ahead and hit subscribe, check back soon, and I will see you next time.